Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. It's our second of our Olympic edition episodes. We're going to recap all the action from week 2. And what better way to do it with 2 Olympians and Olympic commentator. And of course, Johnny Trevorrow, who's decked out in his, what are you wearing, Johnny? You look like an official.
I'm wearing my 1972 Munich blazer because live on air, Scott McGrory, Olympic commentator and gold medalist, bagged this. He said that 72 Munich was the worst of all time, and he got his years mixed up. What's wrong with this, Scotty? He looks bloody great.
No, 72 is good. I like 72. 76 is what I meant. 76 was
76?
Good.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No,
that's not. I'm not sure what year that is. It looks a bit more like 88, actually. It looks like 88 my time.
Yeah. No, it was like a striped blazer, a convict blazer.
It looks like the Hawks. It looks like the Hawks jersey, but as a blazer.
Okay. Yeah, right.
G'day, Phil. I've been loving listening to your dulcet tones. It's been, I got to say, we'll do it right now. Your commentary between the three of you. I was hoping we could get Anna on for a couple of minutes, but the three of you have been absolutely sensational.
Well, thank you, John.
Best.
I have to say,
combination.
I think Anna's been a fantastic discovery. She's been a total natural commentator. Nothing against Scott, of course. I'm talking about Anna, just the way she's come in. And you make a great team, Scott. You really do.
How's it been?
She's able to, and I'm trying to also kind of having a somewhat of an understanding of what I think she might know or say, but then sort of throw a question at her so we actually get inside the heads of the riders, and especially with the sprint stuff. She's been great giving that level of insight. And plus also the connection, the actual, this current team connection with her partner, Nick Fleischer. Obviously, he's the coach of the national team, the sprinters. So, she comes in with that level of insight, plus her expertise as an ex-pro at that top level as well. It's great.
Absolutely.
That helps with information, but it doesn't make the actual chemistry work. And the chemistry is what's worked. It's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
But,
I did say that I'd be happy. I got it wrong the other day. She spoke about how the first 3 days of track cycling there was so much drama. The word she used was there's more drama than in Home and Away, the TV show, for those that don't know. It's an Australian television show that happens to be on Channel 7, which is what we're broadcasting for. She said the right thing. But then, and she said that now that she's 6.5 months pregnant, with all the stress and all the drama and everything that's happening, she may go into labour. I put her into labour. And I said, look, Anna, I've got a bucket of water ready. I've got some towels sent down as well. I've Googled how to be a midwife. I've got your back, and soon I might have your baby. What I meant to say was soon I may deliver your baby. Very, very different things.
That's the benefit of being live.
The mind boggles.
Exactly.
Hey, Phil, how have the UK taken the Olympics? Because in Australia, we're obviously in so many bloody lockdowns. There's nothing else to do but watch the Olympics, and we've just mopped it up. We've got record numbers, but with the time zone and obviously, UK starting to open up, how have they warmed to the Olympics?
Well, I think it's been well received, and it was off to a slowish start because there was a lot of sport going on as well. But I think now, and I have to say the BBC are giving it totally saturation coverage. The live here starts about 7 o'clock in the morning and goes through for a couple of hours till, say, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then they switch a comment. They have then another show, and that flips to another show, and that flips to a final show in the evening. There's non-stop coverage. And I think everybody's really warm to it, but it was a slow start, especially for me because I was doing all the road events for Channel 7. So I was in bed. I didn't watch any of the Olympics, only what I saw, because that was the wrong end of the day for me. I've just come in now from the studio with Scott because we just finished the Madison, which was a great race. But I think the Olympics have really gone well. And in fact, I have to say that the Brits, as a whole nation, are doing pretty well now. I think we're in the 4th in the league table now. So they'll be very happy with that.
You're only one in front of us, mate. You're only one.
I know. Well, that's the trouble. I've joined the side. So I don't worry about what the that was a stupid question, that, Dan. I've got no interest in the Olympics in Britain.
Johnny, I like your take. It's like, but you're only one in front of us. Yeah, but they are still one in front of us. It's not like we're one in front of them. They're beating us.
We were up until about an hour ago, until the bloody plummy cyclists got.
The finish line is at the finish line. We've got a couple of days to go. So
exactly.
Hey, it's been well received in Australia too. So we're just talking to Nick Barrow, who's the top dog of the sport production at Channel 7. And he said that track cycling in particular has been getting really good ratings. And because now with all the digital channels that people are watching on, they actually know who changes channels. So if we go from the main channel of 7 to 7 Mate, they actually see who follows across to the track cycling from one channel to the next and does the channel switch, which is really great, actually. And they said that the ratings have been great for track cycling and the road races as well. You said this as well, Phil. They told you that the road races were rating outstandingly well. That's great.
Yeah. Massive. Yeah, they were.
It's got to be because of the commentary for sure.
Enjoyable.
Of course,
yeah. I didn't do the track.
But hey, Phil, is there any events? You know how a lot of people were critical going into the Olympics, going, what a bloody skateboarding doing in there, and BMX and rock climbing, mate. I love it. How good is it?
Look, we all love it. Now, look, I got really canned once to criticising the arrival of BMX in the Olympic Games, and I still stand by my guns. We're talking Olympic Games. However, I love the sports. And I love watching the skateboarding. And boy, and the BMX freestyle was something else. But is it what Kubertan was thinking about when he did the modern Olympiad? I guess you got to move with the times. But don't forget, we threw out a lot of cycling events to make more room for other sports to bring competitors in. And so they benefited, whereas cycling lost out a lot in the sports. Finally, we've got the Madison back, which we saw today with the women. And it was a great race. And so, look, life goes forward. I've given up criticizing innovation now because I'm too old to worry about it. This is what it's going to be, and let's go for it.
Scooter, what events should we be thinking about now for 2032 for Australia to give us our best chance?
That'll be just after you've been to my funeral, huh?
Well, look, so I know that on the Gold Coast,
you'll live forever.
Yeah, that's it.
So the Queensland government are already planning, and this is before the announcement of the 2032 Games in Brisbane, they're already announcing this extreme sports training facility at Metricon Football Stadium, in that region in Broadbeach at the Gold Coast, or at the back of Broadbeach. So they are already looking to try and get ahead of the BMX freestyle, skateboarding, rock climbing curve to be ready for the next. But 2032 is a long way ahead. We don't know exactly what sports might be introduced by then. Now, what Phil said about the BMX, I remember exactly that, Phil. He wasn't criticising BMX coming in. It was BMX coming in at the expense of some of the traditional cycling events. And all these other sports like swimming. We've already had conversation on Dan, your other podcast, how many swimming events there are, and they're introducing more and more and more of them. Yet some of our traditional events like the kilometre time trial, 4 kilometre individual pursuit, they've all been thrown out of the games. So that's why it is good that at least we're getting the Madisons back in.
Really annoyed me. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
When they said they were going to have rock climbing, I thought, you've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding.
You look at it, speed climbing, isn't that incredible?
It's sensational. It's been sensational. I love it.
It is. Yeah. But is it an Olympic sport for an Olympic gold medal? That's the only question I have, because I think it's fantastic television and it makes people watch and it brings new people to the sporting world. And
it's athletic. I mean, it's a seriously athletic pursuit. There are some sports that have been around for a while, like synchronized diving. I can't quite get my head around, but it's sensational.
I'm even warming to that these days.
Yeah, but we could talk about this for hours, but like shot put. I mean, you're throwing a big metal ball into the grass, boring as batshit. That needs to go. I don't care about the history. Get rid of it. Discus, debatable. You got to mix it up.
Mate, they were in the original Olympics, not the one in 1850 something. The one in zero. When were the first Olympics? Was it before BC? I think it was, wasn't it? Whatever.
18.
No. The first
I
Olympics
want to watch it.
were a year of zero or even something BC when they AD, BC, whatever. And shot put and discus were part of that, Dan. I don't think we can get rid of them.
You do look like a school teacher in that uniform. It's like the angry substitute teacher trying to give us a history lesson on the Olympics. This is fantastic. Now, Iffy, we've got to introduce another guest for the panel.
We
So
do.
give us some insights.
We do.
Come on.
We've got Katie Brown.
I wrote your message 5 minutes ago going, come on, if you introduce Katie.
I'd already texted her and told her to wait a little bit because we were talking dribble. I said, wait a minute, we'll bring her in.
We weren't.
You were.
Yeah, we were all right, Scott. We were fine. Yeah.
But come on, John.
Whatever. So we've got Katie Brown, who is a legend, who's been doing a little bit of work with us of late. She's now the campaign and strategy manager at the Amy Gillett Foundation. She's also an ex-champion cyclist, and we talked with her the other day because she was also in that tragic accident all those years, about 16 years back, when Amy lost her life, and she was lucky to survive it herself. But she has, and she's a gun. She's now got a family of her own, and she's a go-getter, and she's ready to come in. So here she is.
What an intro.
Now, Katie, very important question. Should we give shot put the lemon and sauce from the Olympics?
I did hear this backstage. Listen, I don't know how you'll go about that. The shot put's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just being very diplomatic.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd throw a spicy one early, but how have you found the Olympics so far, Katie, and particularly the commentary? Any feedback's good feedback.
Yeah, very careful what you say, Katie. Very careful.
No, I think you guys have done great, and Anna's fantastic as well. I noticed Rochelle Gilmore was on the other side of Channel 7 as well, so I've sort of heard a little bit of her, but you guys have done a phenomenal job. And in regards to the Olympics, I think that track is haunted or something. There's some really bad mood.
Yeah, you're right. It's all
just to clarify, Katie. So Rochelle is on what they call the host broadcast. So the Olympic Broadcast Services, which is the production company that put it all together, they employ commentators to cover every single sport, and then every country gets to choose whether they want to take that commentary as part of the package or have their own commentators. So Seven have got Anna, Phil and I to do their broadcast, but they can't have our commentary on the app. So if you actually go to the 7 Plus app, all of the commentary on the 7 Plus app is with the host commentators, none of the specialist commentators that Channel 7 have to do it specifically.
That's how I've done it.
It's really grinding Scotty's gears. It's really grinding the gears. Yeah.
All
You didn't have to raise that.
New smart TVs, though, all the new smart TVs have the app on it. So it's kind of like you're getting a mixed sort of balance of who's doing the commentary.
The other commentary is nowhere near as good as yours, Scotty, so you don't have to
Definitely not.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, buddy. I'll send you that.
That's not what Channel 7 was saying to me, but still.
We've got a few comments that have come in on that. Wendy Superfan says, a shame Scott, Anna and Phil were not on the 7 Plus app.
Thank you, Wendy. We love you.
Peter Morris says, totally agree. Gold medal to Anna. Skull, your mate Iffy, says mud crab catching is another event they could do for Brisbane. Annette Miller says 776 BC when they were throwing the shot.
Thank you.
Wow. Skull says all John needs is a guitar. Looks like Angus Young.
Oh God, he does too.
Now, Scotty, let's look at a bit of a review of the Olympics, because when we talk about things like the Tour de France, we do go through the teams and we review them. There's obviously still events to come, but going into the games and how Australia particularly have performed, how would you review their performance so far as a whole?
Ooh, okay. So on the road, we've probably performed to expectations somewhat. So might have thought a little bit more out of the women's road race, but Spratty, probably as our main rider there, she had that crash at the Giro della Donna and hadn't really come back from that. So she just was off a little bit, unfortunately. So we didn't get the result we were hoping for there. Time trials weren't too bad. So I think the ladies and Rowan with the medal were good rides. So that's all okay. Men's road race, we weren't expecting a lot out of that, to be honest. Richie was our main guy, but, he's never performed well in a one-day race ever. He just happens to be our best climber, and it was a hard course. So we thought maybe he could do something. Wasn't able to come away with it. Mountain bike, not quite as good as we hoped from Beck McConnell. We were expecting her to be at least a top 5, maybe top 7. So she was really off. Her husband, Dan, was around about where we probably expect him to be. And Saya Sakakibara crashing in the BMX, that was a disaster. Lauren Reynolds still got 5th, so a good ride from her. Anthony Dean should have made the final, didn't, so that's disappointing. And then when you get into the track, we've got bronze in the team pursuit. We were hoping for more. Men's team pursuit, we were expecting something a little bit more than that, but they still made a podium, and we saw that level of team pursuing. The world record from Rio has come down 8 seconds in one Olympic cycle. It normally comes down 3 to 4 maximum in the last sort of 30 years per Olympic cycle. That doubled this time. So that was just an extraordinary team pursuit competition. The ladies, not what we thought. I thought they would have been. They did ride a fastest time, a personal best for our women's team pursuit team, but they needed a lot more than that, unfortunately. So probably less than we expected. And now, in the sprints, we just haven't really been able to do anything. So overall, I think in the track program, somewhat less than what we were hoping for and what we were expecting. And you think of all the money and the expertise that goes into it. I think the pandemic has had a fair bit of that to play and answer to, because we haven't travelled. The guys haven't raced or travelled and gone overseas. And I reckon we're starting to see, the results of that, unfortunately. So a couple more days to go. Maybe the boys in the Madison can come up with a good result. He's hoping.
You left out our 2 gold medals, mate. Our 2 gold medals.
Which?
The BMX
cycling banner.
BMX freestyle.
Oh, well, they speak for themselves, mate. What's the other one?
It's a gold medal.
What's the gold medal?
Skateboarding. They got wheels. I'm claiming them too.
Skateboarding.
And the shot put looks like a massive ball bearing as well. So we're going to count that as well.
No. The wheels, mate. They got wheels.
Listen, skateboarding is just a minor example of quad biking.
Exactly.
That must be your argument.
Loved the skateboarding. It's been sensational as well.
But what about the first one, John? What about the first? I didn't like the first skateboarding competition. This last one was amazing, but I don't know. I didn't like the first, the one with all the rails, whatever they called that.
Yeah, there goes. They've just changed the sport. It's amazing now. Fantastic.
They are amazing athletes. I mean, Logan Martin is the chap you mean getting the gold medal for the cycling. He's absolutely got no rival. He was head and shoulders above anybody else. So hats off to him. That was a great goal. Had he been on the track, we'd be talking about him for the next hour. But unfortunately, we've only got 1 medal on the track so far.
If we're going to talk about the track, we've just
don't mention the British now. Don't mention the British.
Let's just look at the team pursuit. Normally, a fairly boring race. I love it, but it's not that exciting normally. Hey, that all changed this time. It has been the most riveting to watch, and it started with the Aussies. Started it all off with they broke their head stem, and then it just kept going. So. Come on, you're the commentators, Phil and
No, I want to ask Katie a question. Katie, you're the commissaire at the track event, right?
Right.
The Danish, they wear the tape on the legs, and they are told, hey, that's against the rules. But they race with the tape on the legs. And then the next ride, they go, just don't do that again. Now, isn't it a simple case of you broke the rules, you're out? I'm obviously thinking because Australia qualified 5th. But what would you do if you were the commissaire?
Ooh, tough questions, really. If it's against the rules, obviously they said it's against the rules, right? So that to me would be a warning, firstly. And then if they did it again, then they're disqualified. That's, in my opinion, that's how it should work. But that's not what happened.
What we heard was what Anna, her intel was that the Danes were told before the qualifying that they're not allowed to use the tape. Then they went and used the tape, and then they gave them the warning, so they didn't use it in the next round. So that changes it as well. If they were told beforehand and then still did it, and they still then allowed them to qualify, then that's a bit of a balls up.
I heard through me and Twitter. I'm always tweeting, and I get all the tweets.
Oh yeah. What about Facebook? What did they say?
Yeah, they said that they when the Danes were told, they said, no, we're not using an area. We're using this as a medicinal purpose. So both legs on all four riders needed this medicinal help. So that was because it was a medicinal tape. That was the excuse they used, and they said, we don't believe that. So that's how they got away with it.
Right. US Postal said the same. They said that it was all for medicinal purposes, the whole team, US Postal. Yeah, 7-2. Yeah.
That's it.
They didn't get away with it.
They were warned too. They were warned.
Yeah.
Hey,
this is the seventh time, guys. The seventh time we've told you.
But where does it end in terms of the advancements with the edge? Everyone's looking for the edge. And Scooter, like even the skin suits for the Kiwi team, like that, they're changing the game.
Yeah, and I don't know. I want to find out how much they price those, because we know that the Russian skin suit and the Malaysians were $6,000 each, and they all have those not too many riders in the team. The Malaysians have got 2 there, so there's 4 skin suits at $6,000 a pop. And I'd say the Kiwi ones would have to be up there as well, because they seem to be the most technically advanced of all of them. They're all individually made for each person. You can't just grab your mate's skin suit and throw it on. So yeah, and the clothing has been the biggest mover in the last sort of 5 years, because it's the most amount of surface area hitting the wind, and the particular clothing is faster than skin, which is why the Danes were trying to use the tape with a bullshit reason of medicinal purposes. So they seem to go pretty quick anyway without it. But yeah, it's all about trying to get that extra little bit of edge with a massive surface area of the body. I don't know, mate. To answer your question, look, they've gone 8 seconds faster in this one Olympic cycle. That's just unbelievable. It's mind-boggling for anyone that's been around the sport for as long as we have.
Did you say they got 4 skin suits? I thought they'd probably go with 5, because they had to have one for the spare rider as well.
Yeah.
Right. You're right there, Dan.
Yeah. I know what you're trying to go there. You put your head in there, Dickie.
I didn't go there.
There's always a reserve.
What you said.
Okay. Let's go deep. Let's delve into the team pursuit. Come on.
That's why now I know why they're so expensive, those skin suits you're talking about.
Yeah.
It makes a few people to make one of those.
I mean, for every round there was something special. I mean, the Danes running in the back of the palms.
Welcome to the detour, Katie. Enjoy.
Move on.
You started it.
Yeah. Telling us to move on.
You just take what I say the wrong way.
You're dealing with a bunch of kids here. We love to giggle at the back of the class and throw bloody spitballs at the teacher. You're in the middle, mate.
That's 100% me. Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Move on.
Okay. Teams pursuit. Phil, what was your take on the teams pursuit? Bit of structure now.
It was finally the return of the Italians. Because if you remember, it would be, 12, 15 years ago when the Italians were all disqualified for taking drugs in the team pursuit. And now here we go. Colinelli was one of the riders of the day. But now they've come back big time, and they used their best man. And now we know why his time trial, and as Scotty said in the commentary of the time trial, Filippo Ganna wasn't on form for the time trial because he'd been training for the team pursuit. And we saw what happened in the team pursuit. He was far and away the best rider of the squad. But they finished up with a world record, and they didn't wear anything on their shin bones either, no plaster at all. So it obviously didn't work for the Danes, and they didn't need it for the Italians. Don't forget that because I wasn't commentating on the team pursuit, I was largely in bed catching up on the night shift, working for 7 on the road events. So I didn't see every round. And you try and find it on the BBC if it's not necessarily a British rider. So I didn't see all the racing, but it seemed that I love the team pursuit, just as I always used to love the 4,000 meters individual pursuit and the kilometer. And I was fuming when the IOC, in collaboration with the UCI, took those events out of the Olympic Games and brought in the Omnium. The Omnium has its place now, but at the time, you try and explain the Omnium to non-cycling people. And I have to say that we lost some great events during that silly period.
I agree completely.
Katie, do you think, you've obviously been in this system back in the day, with the AIS and the program, do you think that a lot of these riders feel that added pressure when it comes to Olympics? Because a lot of it comes down to funding as well. You win gold, you get results, you get more money and more funding, or do they still just focus on, well, there's controllables, there's things I can't control, or is it add to that sort of pressure?
I can't talk to the Olympics, Dan. You're talking to the wrong Brown sibling there. So that wasn't me. But all I can say is that there's a huge amount of pressure on athletes to be able to sort of perform. And given that the delay, they would have all been tapering and coming into for the Olympics last year, and then the delay, and they've had to wait another year. That's kind of it's inhibited their training and obviously their lead up into these events, and then having COVID thrown into the mix, and then having all the restrictions. I mean, imagine just sort of trying to rock up and do the best you can, and here you are with all these other sort of elements getting thrown at you at the same time. So mental health comes into play big time at the moment, I would say, in there.
We had a good discussion about that on the social distance scooter the other day about, the problems with going into lockdown, particularly more so for the athletes that haven't or had a good performance at the games.
Yeah, look, I feel for them, because you look at all the Europeans that go back to Europe, and everything's opened up so much over there, and obviously a lot more cases, a lot more deaths, but a lot more people are vaccinated in Europe as well. So they have opened up, and all these athletes are going home to their family and friends and celebrating and moving on. Or if they've really struggled and had poor performances from what they were expecting, they can also deal with that with their family and friends. All of our athletes are coming back to 2 weeks quarantine. So if you've really had a bad moment at the games, it didn't go the way you wanted, you've got to sit with yourself for 2 weeks in isolation, basically, which they may come through if they get the right support, but it could come back to bite them. Another year, 2, 3 years, really sort of be punishing themselves mentally, sitting in isolation for 2 weeks. So, it is what it is, and that's the way our government's handling things. But I do worry about it. And I saw Nick Green yesterday, awesome foursome, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and he's doing the rowing commentary, and he brought it up with me. So he didn't know we'd already spoken about it, Dan, but that's exactly his take on it as well, that he really is, concerned about these athletes that haven't performed to their expectations and are now having to deal with their own emotions for 2 weeks on their own.
Yeah, it's a big point, that, and a very serious one. The Aussie government will, whether it likes it or not, have to realise that it will have to learn with COVID and change its attitude in the weeks ahead, maybe the months in Australia's case, as Britain has done. We get on average 20,000 new cases every day, but they're not serious cases anymore. No one goes to hospital with the problem. We're learning to live with it, just as we live with the flu and pneumonia. Life is becoming quite real again here. Having said that, by the way, Matthew Walls, who got the gold in the Omnium, that was his first time in competition on the track for 18 months because he wasn't able to do it. So he proved it could be done. But I take the point about having to go into quarantine on return. That's the very reason that I am not traveling and haven't done so now for 16 months. I've not been to the airport. And I used to go every weekend to fly somewhere because I'm not coming back and spending 10 days at a hotel at Heathrow in the room with no exit. If I've been to a red country, for example, although most of our countries now are green or amber, and so you don't quarantine in a hotel on return. But as I say, we're progressing, and Australia will have to do it because I'm afraid the virus is with you now, and all the quarantine on the world will not stop it continuing to stay in the country.
The challenge we've got, Phil, is that we've only got like less than 20% of the population
vaccinated.
Vaccinated. So
but John, it's not a race. It's not a race.
Well, it is a race. It's an Olympic race. No, but the challenge is until the big proportion of our population at the moment can't get vaccinated. We haven't got enough vaccines for a whole age group. It's just starting to happen now. So it's going to be November, December before we can, at the best scenario, have enough vaccinated to start opening up. That's going to be the challenge we have.
Well, you must be vaccinated, but I've heard so much fake news coming out of Australia about the youngsters won't take it, people who are pregnant won't take it, they're scared of it. There are no problems here at all from pregnant women or young kids. We are now down to offering it to 16 years old and above, but there are still people who won't take it. But now, although there's no such thing as a COVID passport, it's too political, you're not allowed to go to places unless you can prove you've had 2 jabs of the vaccination. And I've got my certificate. And in fact, it's in my drawer here. So I may as well show it to you. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That says I've had the double vaccination, so I can leave the country and show it to immigration in another country. And it's being accepted in most European countries. And I'll expect to see it on my return. That is the way forward, I'm afraid.
Yep. I've had mine too, Phil.
Have you? Where's your certificate? You haven't got one, have you? You haven't got your certificate, though.
It's on my phone. I'll dig it up for you.
Don't. That's good. On the phone, it expires, but on paper, it's for life. Apparently, there's no date on that one.
So, what events have we got left, Scooter? With the
now, hang on. Before we go past, we touched on team pursuit. I've got to go back to the team pursuit, to the terrible crash of the Aussies. Okay. Now, we'll never know. They ended up getting a bronze medal, which is sensational. We don't know what they would have got because, they only got a kilometre in when that headstand broke. I was very disappointed after that no one from the Australian team actually spoke about the drama. It took nearly 24 hours before anyone did. And then Simon Jones come in and said it was very unfortunate. And someone said something. He said, oh, well, we said you wanted entertaining games, at least it's entertaining, or words to that effect. Now, I found that absolutely terrible. We just had, these guys, especially these half a dozen guys, especially the 5 who has put 5 years into preparing for this. Alex Porter was he just about took half his face off. So it wasn't the time for any flippant remarks. So I was very, very disappointed with that.
That's a fair call. Because as you said, there's so much preparation that goes into it. But I mean, if you're upset that they didn't make a statement straight after, I mean, what are they going to say? Like the headstand broke, it's disappointing.
Whatever, but that's when you do speak. You just say, look, it's been a terrible accident. We're going to check. But for no one to speak at all, it just seems ridiculous. It doesn't take
have you seen any? So Alex, the next day, Anamirs did an interview with Alex, and he spoke about the crash and the incident and everything, but he didn't talk about the actual break and why the crash happened. Okay, so you just talk about the challenge of trying to get back up and going again. Have you seen any other riders being interviewed at all on the broadcast?
No,
because we're struggling to get to hear from them, and when they're coming to the mix zone to talk, it's way too late, and there are other sports on, so our producers just move on to the next sport. And this has been a constant and a common theme with the Australian cycling team over the years. It's really hard to get access to our athletes for the general public in Australia to learn from them. And I think as bad as the crash was, this was a moment of opportunity to actually understand the psyche of these athletes and what pressures they're under and how they try to bring themselves back up after something that was terrible like this. And I said in the broadcast that 3 of the guys in the team pursuit the next day swapped bikes. They changed bikes because there was concerns about the handlebars. None of that's been allowed to be spoken about by the team, and they'll do their own internal investigation. Of course they will. We get that. But something happened. We saw a bloody headstand snap in half and a guy face plant into the track at 65 k's an hour. We all saw it. Talk about it. Don't shut it up. Let's be transparent and move on together.
Do you reckon that adds to the pressure, like by closing the doors in and not discussing it?
Of course it does.
You can't mentally move on.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I totally agree. But then, look, the other side of things for Australian cycling, for a long time with the Olympic program, we whinged about not having enough money. Okay, and you've got all of the funding for the track program coming from the Ausport federal government, and it was always about performance-based training preparation, and any sort of commercial activity with sponsors meant that it was a distraction to the athletes from their training. Yet we whinge about the Brits who had so much money, and they were sponsored by Sky and whatever else. They were all accessible to the public, and at the last couple of Olympic Games, you saw the British riders getting interviewed after every race. The Australians aren't allowed to get interviewed, or weren't back then, in the mix zone from our reporters until the end of their actual competition. So you can't talk to them during the sprint round. You have to wait till they're out. Meanwhile, the Brits are all being interviewed after every race that they do. So their general public back in Britain, they get to know who these athletes are. They become more commercially viable because they have a brand. People know who they are. They don't hear from ours. And if ours lose, well, then no one wants to hear from them anyway. So we've done damage to building our brand as a sport, track cycling in particular, and of the individuals that partake in it, which doesn't make us commercially viable. And then we don't have enough money. But then they're making it harder to make the money. So it's just a stupid process.
We've got an insight here from Ananda Chu, says, heard from Eurosport that the stem bolts were over tightened, which caused the failure. Do you hear that inside mail, Scooter?
I haven't heard that.
Look, that's a lie. It's because through the cockpit, they call it the cockpit, there is a screw goes in, and that's the weakest point. If it's over torqued, then it'll snap, especially under the pressure applied by a team pursuit cyclist. When you torque up, or anything to do with carbon fiber now, when you tighten bolts, you tighten with a torque spanner. You don't tighten it with a normal Allen key. You must know you've not over torqued it, because it's fatal if you do. Having said all of that,
too much talk.
Who knows? Who knows? The fact is, it broke, and in fairness, carbon fiber breaks all the time. Changes.
Titanium, mate. They were titanium, not carbon fiber. But anyway,
I mean, I think we should also look at the fact that Alex actually got back up and did the heat again. Like he kind of brushed it off and then just got straight back up. His wounds were still weeping, and it was just, he would have been in so much agony after that, and just sort of did his cool down after the actual TP, and then sort of thought, geez, I'm hurting now. Imagine waking up the next day. What was he like? What was he feeling the next day? How tight and stiff would he be?
I wonder why, though. That's a good point, Katie, because why didn't they replace him? Why did they bring Luke in then? It got me a bit baffled, actually.
I'll tell you. Because two things, right? So Luke hadn't done the complete warm-up. He'd actually been sick in the last few weeks before the game, so he wasn't expecting to ride at all, and thought that Alex would just go do all the rounds. Alex is also the specific starter. So when he went out, it wasn't Luke that went into the start position, it was Lee Howard, and that's not his normal position. So Alex is set in stone as the man that it gets them up to speed the best way. So they were compromised right there anyway. But Luke, there's also a requirement that you can only change, or you can change riders up to 30 minutes before the event. So with the crash, that then fell inside 30 minutes, even though the restart was, they gave him some time for the restart, but it still was complicated with that 30 minutes before the event to be able to replace.
Said Porter can't start, he's injured, they would have allowed.
But just do what the Danes do, mate. Just do it anyway, and then apologise afterwards and go, give us a warning, piss off, move on.
There's also a rule that you're not allowed to have dark visors or lenses on the inside of the track. You're only allowed to put those on when you go up onto the boards itself, and that's so that the officials can actually identify who the rider is. You put the helmet on, put the visor on, and then you go onto the track, and it's not the person it's supposed to be. So that's all part of that regulation as well.
So fine cotton.
Scott, you may be able to shed some light here. So did the boys end up having to did they cool down and then re-warm up, or did they just stay hot? Did they just hop on the rollers and stay hot?
Just hop on the rollers. So except for Alex, who obviously had to change his skin suit and go through all that process, they did the concussion test, but the rest of the guys just jumped straight on the rollers. And they're not, I guess, so re-warming up, they're just keeping the legs going because, obviously the kilometre at 1 minute flat pace is what they did. Those big gears, it was a huge effort to get them going. And we saw in the restart, Alex was keen to go again, and he had to because they weren't or couldn't replace Luke in that time. And you saw from the very first lap, they were 1 second off the pace. And they were there or thereabouts, within a couple of tenths of a second when the crash happened after 1K. Still 3K to go, anything could have happened, but they were 1 second off. Alex was cooked. He'd hurt himself that badly. He'd actually also cut on both of his groin. So when he went down, he's gone over that broken front section of the bike, and he actually had some pretty bad cuts on the inside of his legs as well that you couldn't see through the skin. Yeah.
Hey guys, let's take a quick breather and have a word from Amy Gillett Foundation. We've got some great messages there for rider safety and bike exchange, and we'll talk more Olympics on the back end of this clip.
Street, it's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. When you're driving, it's nice to be friendly, but make sure there's enough personal space between you and people on bikes, because a metre matters. Stacks of people ride bikes. Just as you expect to see other vehicles on the road, expect to see people riding bikes too. Bike riders also need to be aware of traffic lights, magpies, prams, potholes, pedestrians, Google vans. Look, just be aware. Come rain, hail, shine, sleet or snow, no matter what the conditions, drive safely wherever you go. Opening your car door without looking can cause serious injuries to bike riders. Always check your side mirrors and look over your shoulder for people riding bikes. Don't open your door unless you're sure there's no one coming. Let people know where you're going, so check your blind spots and indicate early, and always use your hands when changing lanes and turning. Most road rules are for everyone. Stop at red lights and always give right of way at intersections. But some rules are just for riding bikes, like wearing a helmet when you're out on your wheels, because it might just save your life. You also need bike lights and bright clothes, because sometimes it's hard to see and be seen by other road users without them. You don't need to look like a disco on wheels, just a light on the front and one on the back. Something else that's important on a bike: brakes. Take it from me, it's not good if they don't work. None of us like to imagine the worst, but just in case, carry some ID when you ride your bike. Riding a bike can be hard work. We don't all have legs of steel, so eat, drink and rest when you need to. So there it is, consideration and mutual respect. It doesn't take much. After all, it's a two-way street.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to the Amy Gillett Foundation for some great messages there, and of course, Bike Exchange. Hey, Katie, how are the entries going for Amy's ride? I think is in October. Yes.
So the Grand Fondo. So that's amazing. We've got some. There's about 4,000 people entered already. So we've got some awesome sponsors on board as well. So when you guys give away your ticket in one of your podcasts, we will also have a competition for a set of info cranks from Verve to win. So yes, so all you have to do is literally register, start fundraising, and you can go in the draw to win those. So
these are cranks, not head stems, just to clear that up.
Yes, they're power cranks. We're giving away power cranks.
Ooh, perfect.
Yep. A set of power cranks from info cranks. So
okay. We'll be all across that because we've obviously got the Tour of Spain coming up, so we'll be going live every night over the 3 weeks, which should be jam-packed. I see the Pog is not riding the Tour of Spain. If he's pulled out, focusing on the Worlds. He's got CBF.
He didn't like the way Iffy pronounced his name, so he said, I'm not going if they're doing it.
That's it.
Focaccia.
Amy, could I just ask where the ride is this time? Because I'm a bit out of touch with Australia just now.
The Grand Fondo, where is it?
Yes, yeah. Where is
it's down in Lorne. So along Great Ocean Road, and it starts in Lawn. It's amazing. It's so spectacular in there. Picturesque.
Oh, it's beautiful down there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great course. It's a great course. They go up around, they climb up over Benware and down Dean's Marsh and right around the back, right through Forest, and then back over the in the Otways and back down to the just near
Dean's Creek.
That's the one, and then back up to Lawn. Just brilliant.
Yeah, it's not an easy ride, but it'd be sensational. I love that area.
A couple more comments. Peter Morris says, new tech involved in the cockpit. Titanium 3D printing by innovative Aussie company. Inquiry will sort it out, and hopefully we will all be better for it. That part, Scooter, it was 3D printed, wasn't it, from the team?
Yeah, it was, and it was made by Bastion, which are a Melbourne company doing fantastic things, making beautiful bikes, and they'll be devastated. The guys weren't expecting that to happen, so that was made on behalf of Argon that did the frames. And they're a good bunch of guys. I know them, and I've seen their products, their road bikes, etc. So yeah, as I say, they'll be devastated. However, one of the things that bit of intel that was coming back from our reporter in the mix zone at the track, because he's standing next to Brad Wiggins, and in a conversation with Wiggo alleged that the British team had also looked at 3D printing their stems and bars because they've done a lot of that themselves, but this type of 3D printing of the product, but then looked at this track and this particular velodrome at the speeds they're going to be riding with the long straights and really tight bends. This is what our reporter's alleging that Wiggo has told him. They thought that there'd be too much stress on the front end of the bike in these really tight bends. So if that's true, then the Brits already, speculated that there could be a mechanical failure or a catastrophic failure from that kind of part. Memo didn't get through to the Aussies if that's the case.
Well, if that makes the Great Britain seem smarter, Phil will verify that as correct.
Well, I don't know. I know riding a track, there's a hell of a lot of G-force and compression when you go into those bends. So maybe some basis to the theory, but I'm certainly not technical in that respect. I'm no engineer for sure. But
the Great Britain,
everything makes sense, that's for sure. Great
Britain's obviously done some serious sort of thinking about their equipment, because have a look at their track bikes they're riding.
Yes, and they look.
I've never seen anything like it.
Are they being effective? I don't know. Well, at least we're winning medals, but
they look good.
They do look horrible.
I like them. Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote around the group. I like them. I think they look really weird, but I just like the innovation. I like that they're really pushing the boundaries.
You can only use a bicycle that's available to purchase as well, and this bicycle is available to purchase. It's around about $50,000. But it's available
and just not yet. Just you can't get one.
Oh, it's available now. It has to be available now to get in the Olympics. But nobody's got 50,000.
Evidently, you can't actually get one. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, 3-year waiting. 3-year waiting.
It's like tape. It's like tape on the shins, mate. Tape on the shins.
This is another example of how the rules aren't being correctly applied. Maybe.
Bloody Great Britain cheating again. That's all I'll say.
I just want to flag this.
We don't miss a trick. These boys are British cycling. Are pretty hot people.
That's right.
They don't miss much.
Let's have a look at the positions of the bikes as well. Like, we've gone from back in the day where they were Superman positions to not having your bars over a certain point of your front stay, and it's now we're sitting up really high and tucked in. It's just technology has come such a long way.
Yeah, I mean, how often was it we were told we have to use handlebars the same width as our chest so we can get the air in? Now these handlebars are about 10 centimeters wide and they're sprinting on them. It's just new innovation, but they're always constantly testing in wind tunnels all the time to make you see what the next step is.
Your girls, Phil, they used them in the Madison tonight. So in an endurance event, the two Madison riders, Katie and Laura, both rode really narrow handlebars, perhaps the narrowest of anyone in that race, which is what you're saying is back in the day, endurance races, you had to open your chest up and they're tucked right in, super fast. They were incredible in the Madison tonight.
So quite clearly, not being able to breathe is not as fast as being streamlined.
I think you've learned how to breathe and keep your arms in close. But like you were saying, Scotty, I actually, when I first saw that British bike, I saw photos of it, I thought, oh, what the bloody hell are they doing there? But I've fallen in love with it. I really do like it now. And where they've got the forks, front and back forks, so right out virtually matching where the legs are. So there's only one area of into breaking the wind, or maybe two.
You're on fire tonight, John.
But the other thing I like about that bike, whereas nearly every other model, every other country is riding, the person riding the Sprint rides a completely different bike to the person riding in say the Madison. But these Hope frames, it's virtually the same frame. All they do is change the handlebars and that sort of thing, and wheels, but the frame's the same right through all of the events from the Team Pursuit, Madison, you name it, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Scooter, from one of the fans live. Patui says, Scott, can you provide any insight as to where the additional spectator noise comes from, considering the stadium audience restrictions? And if artificial, then how do they sync it with the action?
I can provide that insight. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but yeah, within that question is the answer. And across all the sports, you'll notice there's plenty of venues that are completely empty, yet you still get some crowd noise. So yeah, there is some manipulation of that. Well, I don't know the technical side of it, but yeah, there is a little bit of that going on.
Notwithstanding,
it's like when we first had the football, Phil, in Australia, you wouldn't have seen it, but when they first had AFL football in Australia, the very first game, they had no crowd whatsoever, and they didn't add any ambience or atmosphere. It was terrible to watch that game.
Shocking.
All you hear are the players swearing if they've got no crowd.
Yeah.
That's it. But notwithstanding what you're saying, Scott, because I'm working for Channel 7 as well, but I can tell you that when I was doing the Tour de France in a studio very close to the one I'm doing Channel 7 coverage in now, there was a team of 3 guys working in the studio before the Lions tour started, which is currently being held, the Lions playing South Africa in rugby, and they spent 2 days making the sound noise. That's what they did, that recording sound noise and making it so that when they put it to the tapes later, they'll pump it up in the right positions to give it some atmosphere. I don't know about, I know your televisions aren't quite as modern as the British ones, but here we have a choice. You can either have it with sound noise or without sound noise. You can change the audio when you're watching on these new smart televisions. So it's your choice. But they do spend a lot of time making it work to give it atmosphere. It's I must say, COVID has a lot to answer for, but this is amazing the way now we've got a team of guys making sound noise 3 months before the event happens.
Hey, what events have we got left, Scooter? Like, what have we got to look forward to?
Dan, just before we go to what's left, let's talk about
the Team Pursuit again.
What? No, what just happened? We had some events on tonight, mate. The women's matters was sensational. I think we should talk about that. And the women's sprint.
Look about the women's team pursuit, John. Women's team pursuit. Look at the record. So the time that the German women's team did would have qualified them 3rd fastest in the 2004 men's team pursuit qualifying at the Olympic Games, where Katie's brother Graham took the gold medal. That women's team pursuit team, what was that, 2 days ago now, would have been 3rd fastest in qualifying back then against the men. That was incredibly fast what they rode the other day. So hats off to the Germans. That was great.
Can you buy their bikes?
No.
There you go. This is my point.
That's against the rules.
Needs an overhaul. It stinks.
If you cannot buy the bike over the counter, you can't put it in the Olympic Games.
What is going on?
They are for sale. You can go through the process and order them.
We should do a piss take ad where it's like an advertisement for all these track bikes. You know, we've got a massive sale on. Buy your track bike, 10% off. Not 100 grand, 90 grand, going out the door. Like, no one's buying this stuff. Let's be honest.
No, and all proceeds go to helping rhinos. I'm in favour.
There you go. Correct Team Pursuit bike sale, mate. They wouldn't have any financial issues for the next 10 years.
Can you imagine? We get 4 rhinos and off the track.
That's it.
In the game reserve, and then go.
Jeez. I'm starting to lose faith, guys, in this track stuff. I'll tell you.
So,
hey, what did you think
also tonight? Sorry, go on, mate.
What did you? So you want to talk about tonight's racing, John? So what did you think? What did you think about the women's Madison tonight?
I thought it was brilliant. I don't think I've ever seen a team dominate a Madison as much as the British girls did. I think there was only 1 or 2 sprints they didn't win in the whole race. That was just, amazing. And to be, they were like 10% better than any other team there. They were dominating the sprints, and then when I think it was the French jumped away, they just rode up to them like picking their nose. It was just
of course they did. You can't buy their bloody bikes and they're using the narrow bars. Like, this is join the dots, John.
Let's not forget also Katie crashed in that too. Like, they won and they also had a crash.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal.
A couple of nasty crashes. I reckon one of them was caused by one of our Aussie girls. I think it was Baker, who dived through a gap that wasn't there and knocked 2 of them down.
The Dutchie, knocked the Dutchie off. Yeah.
They were never the same again in that competition either. But I thought I was driving home from the studio because, as you know, I was doing it from London with Scotty in Melbourne and Anna, and I was driving home in the rush hour. And my phone pinged, and it was a friend in the village where I live saying they'd just seen the Madison on television. It was on BBC. They were watching, and they said, "What an exciting race! We've never seen the Madison before." Well, they wouldn't, would they? It was the first time in the Olympics, but they really loved it. So I texted them back and said, "Well, I'll bring you into the studio tomorrow for the men's Madison, and you can watch real commentary on Australian television with Scott Mann." She said, "Well, I thought you would know that." Modesty forgives me, but she thought the commentary wasn't great, and they'd love to hear the Channel 7 commentary.
There you go.
Listen, by the way, in fairness, and this is what you mentioned about not being able to get to the competitors quickly, the BBC have, throughout the whole of the track series, had their riders, winners or losers, on air within 2 minutes of them finishing their event. And I'll take my hats off to them for that. And they've been very good too. The women and the men have really spoken well. Win or lose, they've been very philosophical. Katie Marchant, when she crashed and then was relegated in the Kieran, she gave a really good account of herself, saying, "Well, it's bike racing, I hope so, and so that's the way it goes," etc. But they also, the 2 girls today, Archibald and Laura, I nearly said Trot again, but Laura Kenny, and they followed a plan. They worked on this plan apparently for a long time, riding in the events, in under 23 events, and they kept up. They watched the under 23. They worked it all through. They put the plan into action, and everything worked out. There was no surprise. They didn't just start off, hear the gun go, and start winning the sprints. They rode to a plan, and they were so happy. Everything they rehearsed worked, and they won.
Yeah. That was right. But you wouldn't have been watching, but our athletics coverage has been fantastic. After every event, the athletes being going straight to the Australian Channel 7 commentator, Richo, and a good friend of ours, and he's been fantastic. So win or lose, we've been getting all the interviews with athletics. I don't know why cycling can't do it. Anyway,
well, I think that can't the Olympics? It's a brand, it's a product for the Olympic Games. Can't they set rules and regulations to say it's mandatory?
Well, we can't. No,
we can't, but they could. Yes,
but they could. That's what I'm saying. They can overrule it and say, if you want to compete, you've got to do that.
Soccer in Britain, the manager, win or lose, has to be in that conference within.
That's
minutes.
it.
Yeah. So the difference is, right, so if you look at Formula One or motorsport or any of those industries, right, so it is part of the regulations, part of the rules that you must be available as quickly as possible for whatever it may be afterwards, right? That is the business of promoting the athletes within that sport. The IOC is in the business of promoting the IOC. So their biggest thought process is for their own sponsors, not the individual athletes and the sports. It's about, the McDonald's and the whatever's, their major partners. That's who they're thinking about. When we get down to this level, it's each of the individual sports that are in control of whatever they want to do, and each country within that. So Britain have a good understanding of commercialising their brand. So you see the athletes on the track, and then you get to see them and hear from them and understand who they are without their helmets and their glasses and their visors on directly after the race. This is what I was saying before. We haven't done that. We've always focused purely on the performance. So no one gets to know who Georgia Baker is or Annette Edmondson. No. So they're just Aussies that ride bikes. They don't know who they are. and therefore they're not a brand that commercial companies want to work with. And we don't get the money and the funding into our national program. And it pisses me off. It really does. I've been dealing with this since I first worked with you, Phil, at the Olympics in 2012. And I brought it to the high performance program's attention back then. And we know, we don't do it that well. We need to do better. Well, they still don't do it very well. And we're still having problems with it. And Channel 7 put in an official complaint to the AOC about the lack of coverage that we're getting from the Australian athletes for interviews. That has improved, but they're now coming to our reporter too late to actually make it into the broadcast. We've already moved on to the hockey, moved on to another sport. So I'm seeing the interviews now, and I haven't heard one of them because they haven't gone into our coverage because they've got there too late.
And Simon Platt,
Sorry.
Just says exactly what you're saying. Yet every swimmer was interviewed immediately after. No wonder cycling doesn't have a high profile. Sorry,
exactly.
Katie.
Yeah. So does this fall on the athlete, or does it fall on their communications coordinator?
It's in this particular case, it's the coaches of those athletes or those teams that are telling them that they can't go there yet, or they've got to go and get on the rollers first, and they can go later and do the interview. So I know that Amy McCann is the communications, the media manager. She's not happy with it either. I know that she would like them to come over and do all of that. Just that comment there, I imagine that Simon Platt is Luke Platt's father that has just put in that mention as well. And we were talking about, Simon actually said to me the other day that Luke was the one that was feeling a bit sick coming in, so he wasn't expecting him to ride. So the crash with Alex, all that stuff, that's why Luke wasn't there ready to go.
Just on a side note, feeling a bit sick. Geez, I felt bad for that marathon walker, that Vision today, who felt sick and had to fall off the back, and then he walked to the side, and the commentator was like, "Oh no." And yeah, you can join the dots. It wasn't pretty. That quickly flash away with the cameras, but anyway, the Wheel Wizard says, Scott, would you like to be changing in a Madison on the GB bikes?
I don't know. You'd have to write it first. So, I don't know. And look, the GB ladies, they absolutely dominated and they smashed it. Okay. However, Katie's technique is terrible. So Katie Archibald, her skill and technique as a change is not great. Yet they were able to do that and dominate and on those bikes. So they don't look like your traditional Madison type of bike, or they don't look like a traditional bike at all. But imagine if they're stable and you can still get your hand on the top of the bar, they're probably going to be fine. I guess you just have to ride one to find out. They seem to handle it pretty well.
Don't forget, Scott, that the rule is you must touch your partner on the body. Otherwise, they start throwing him in by the forks at the rear, wouldn't they?
They could be those things, couldn't they? Yeah.
As long as the mechanic doesn't use too much torque, Phil, you should be right.
Get your hand on that fork.
Now, John, are we able to progress to whatever events are left, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, I'd like to talk about the domination. It's all right, mate. I know you're not that interested. The domination of the Dutch in the men's sprint to get the gold and silver medal, and that was a great race tonight. We had Hoogland, who was probably the favourite, and Leverson, because Hoogland won the first sprint, and then Leverson just got him in the second one. It was really close, but the third one he beat him quite easy. So, fantastic final.
It was, wasn't it? So these guys, they've really come on the last 4 years, really. So they weren't quite there in Rio, but they've just dominated the last bunch of world championships, and they were extraordinary. I don't know if you guys saw it, because we sort of switched off to do something else, and then we noticed on the screens that Hoogland actually collapsed on the apron. He didn't come straight off the track as Harry did. Johnny Hoogland, he actually collapsed on his bike up on the apron, and they had medical people there, and the coaches came over, and they had to actually lift him up, put him on his road bike, and then basically carry him off the track. He was so spent from that effort. So that, it also shows like he looked so strong up until that very last race where he basically just got smashed. That's how close he was to the edge the whole way through. These guys are riding, they're racing on 110 125 to 130 inch gear in sprints over and over and over again, which is just crazy stuff. And he was completely spent at the end of it all. So now they've got to get up and race the Kieran.
I reckon it was the second race that really finished him, because he forced him to go. Leverson come underneath, forced him to go dive underneath him and go early, and I reckon that just he spent a lot of bickies in that second race and never recovered.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the way they race as well is they'll go to the front because they're so strong. They'll go to the front. They're riding these huge gears, and basically it's hit the front and go, 1/3 throttle, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, full throttle, and that's it. So that they're doing every race really, really hard and going as deep as they have to, because they just want to have that control at the front. They're riding so fast, so strong, no one can come around. You just have one race too many.
Yeah. I mentioned to you before, Scotty, how sprinting's changed, because back pre the mid 70s, the best sprinters always dominate from behind in men's sprinting. Always they just fly, finish so quick. And John Nicholson, an Australian, who finished second at Munich in the sprint to Daniel Morlon and became the world's best sprinter. He won 2 world titles before he had a really bad crash. But he changed sprinting. He just used to lead out and they could not do anything about it. And he was doing what they're doing now. And it changed. He changed world sprinting.
That's Big John Nicholson, isn't it? That was his nickname, wasn't it?
Well, he wasn't very small.
He was solid.
For sure.
He was solid. He was solid. Yeah, good man.
I just took a stab.
Nico.
I was his handler at Munich. He got the silver medal to Morlon. He nearly beat Morlon.
Now, John, you've got to tell the story for the listeners, because you've told everyone that knows you about 400 times. Tell us that quickly, that Olympic story about how did you get an invite to the final exclusive party for the Australian team when you shouldn't have been there? Give us a quick synopsis.
Just good luck, really.
No.
Judy Patching was the chef de mission. Judy was a guy. He was a bit of a good bloke. And he'd caught me playing up a couple of different times, drinking where we weren't supposed to be. And when I've been, I got...
you were clearly told, we've got a reputation as Aussies for being drunks. Now, we're not doing that this year, so I don't want to see anyone in the athletes' bar. At the athletes. I
misunderstood him. Yeah.
And you were busted 20 minutes later.
Yeah, and the next day as well. So anyway, so I was in the bad books for that, and I also got in a little bit of a dispute in Munich as well, and got in trouble for that. Fracas. Yeah. So I'm deep in the naughty book with Judy Patching. So anyway, right at the end of the games, because it was such a tragedy with all of the shootings and everything, the Munich government decided we're going to do something special. So they had this big carnival that was in town anyway, like a Circus Soleil type thing. So they invited just the chef de mission and like 6 athletes from every country. No one else, no other officials. So it was, to get to that was pretty special. So when Judy Patching had to select it, so he picked, naturally, was Shane Gould, Raylene Boyle, all the medalists. But when it came to cycling, we had 3 silver medalists. And so in the morning, our manager says, Judy Patching's picked you. I said, really? He said, I don't think he could decide between the 3 silver medalists, because it was John Nicholson and Danny Clark and Clyde Sefton. And I don't think he could decide, so I think he's picked you. But I knew why. I knew my name was sticking in his head for the wrong reason. So anyway, we had to meet at a certain spot. So I went down there, we had to catch a little bus to go to this circus. And I remember Raylene Boyle saying to me, what are you doing here? I said, I got invited. She said, bullshit. I said, look, he's stuffed up, so just don't say anything. So when Judy Patching came down to hop on the bus, I hid behind the concrete pillar. And so then we got on the bus and we were halfway to the function. He said to me, what are you doing here? I said, well, you invited me, Judy. He went, I saw a light bulb. Well, behave yourself.
There you go.
And what's more, you've been attending functions ever since the same way. It's unbelievable.
That's right. That's
wherever
right.
you shouldn't be, you're always there because I'm there.
God rest his soul, Judy. He's not with us any longer. He was a great bloke. But at a function quite a few years later, he was the guest speaker, and I got up and told that story.
Oh, wow.
We had a beer. We know we had a beer together. It was good. It was
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
Now, can I ask, is there any events left, Scotty, that you're looking forward to? Like anything that stands out?
Well, due to popular demand from Johnny, we're going to do the team pursuit rounds again.
Yeah. What happened with the Aussies? The stem broke, I think.
Apparently,
You're talking dribble.
Okay. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? We've got to have to wrap things up pretty soon.
Mate, Men's Madison tomorrow. Men's Madison's coming up. So we've got the women's sprint go through to the medals. Unfortunately, Kylie McCulloch not going through any further. She got knocked out today. But we've got the Men's Madison, Men's Omnium, and then the Men's Kirin is coming up as well. So some big races to come. And we saw how the Women's Madison how that blew apart today. It'll be the same in the men's. And the women, while a lap was taken by 5 teams, I think it was, typically it's more of a sprint race. So they back off a little bit, back off sprint. Whereas the men, it's less of a sprint race and it's just, kind of this muscle fest. And they just absolutely hammer and hammer and hammer. So it'll be actually challenging for Phil and I and Anna to just be able to work our way through it by looking at the monitor.
No, it won't.
We did have a guy on the ground over there that was apparently feeding the information the whole time, but they didn't have that connected properly. So he was talking through the whole thing at the inside of the velodrome in case we missed things. But yeah, I wasn't getting any of that information at all. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's not too messy.
It was too much talk on the wires to connect you, mate.
Okay, one question for you, Scotty, or Phil, whoever can answer this. But when they took the lap, the 5 riders took that lap. So normally, when you catch the peloton, you get given the 20 points. There was no peloton. They were just it was just completely blown apart. It was just riders. When did they designate that they got that lap?
Well, the referees do that. The IOC decide. UCI. It's the original peloton when you get on. However, they decide which is the peloton and how many people are in it. But
there just didn't seem to be one. It just seemed to be.
I'll be honest.
Single riders.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't realise they'd taken a lap, and I was commentating. I didn't realise they got the lap. I looked at my computer to the left. I suddenly saw 20 points go against 2 riders' names. So I just said it, but I never saw the catch.
Yeah, they were more so catching individuals. Like the Aussies got caught while they were taking the lap and they weren't in the peloton. They were off the back, and that was when the crash had happened and everything. So they were picking up a bunch of individuals, and I guess they realised that they'd caught enough teams while they were out there, and that what was left of the peloton might have been like 4 teams or something. So yeah, it was an easy one.
But they decide which is the peloton. But there were girls losing laps as well, which made it even more complicated. Whether going forward or backwards. It's like the man with Alzheimer's saying, was I putting these trousers on or off?
Just one other, just to deviate. Van der Poel, he'd have to be gutted, Phil, for going all chips in for the mountain bike and then going A over T.
It took me back to the days of Cadell Evans when he stayed amateur. Stayed amateur long enough to ride. Stayed a mountain biker long enough to become, hope to become a world champion for the sponsors, which were Volvo at the time, back in 2000. 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he broke his collarbone before the race. He rode it. He finished, if I remember rightly, in 7th place in the mountain bike, and turned down 1 year wasted when he could have been progressing towards the Tour de France. You take the gamble. Mathieu van der Poel took the gamble, and it didn't work out. So Eddie Merckx will feel vindicated when he complained about van der Poel packing the Tour to go to the Olympics. Eddie was just jealous. Eddie's never won an Olympic medal. But come to think of it, neither's van der Poel either.
Hey, don't piss Eddie off, mate. He'll target you.
No, I mustn't. No, Eddie and I are pretty good friends, and I don't think he'll be watching the podcast. I hope not.
I don't think so.
Hello, Eddie.
I think that's safe. I think that's safe, mate. Yeah, Scotty. Before we start wrapping up,
Van der Poel. So he went off the Sapura drop, I think it was called, over the handlebars in the women's race. The winner, Yolanda Neff, right? She dominated, rode away from everybody. She went off the edge of that drop as well, almost did exactly the same thing, but rode it out. Didn't crash. So it just shows Yolanda Neff's skills.
You're talking like a guy who commentated on that, Scott.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Well done, mate.
It's getting late here in
Superb.
Melbourne. Anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
Getting late. My day's ahead of me, and I've just
Oh, I
commentated
know.
on the Medicine in Australia.
Well, you've had
My
the double
day-
jab, mate. You can go
Look
down
at
the
that, look
pub
at the
and
sun, look at
rack
the
up a
sun
game of
still out.
pool.
Look at that.
Oh, beautiful. Skies are cleared.
However,
Anything you
I
want
will be up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning to get down to the studio to start again. You'll
Oh,
get your
you'll be
own
right,
back
mate.
then.
Yeah, that's it. Iffy, anything you want to add before we go, mate?
Just a quick one, because we still the Kaleka Foundation.
Kareka,
We should
Kareka.
Kareka. Don't forget, we
lad.
still want people to donate. So there it is:
very welcome.
www.kareka.co.za/Peloton.
Okay.
Recently, by the way, as you know, my film, The Voice of Cycling, has been shown around Australia. Well, a lot of people have donated to the film, and that money's being sent to Kareka as well via the film distributors in Australia. So thank you, everybody, because at the moment with COVID, South Africa in particular is in trouble, but the game reserves are in desperate trouble because there's no visitors. So somebody's got to look after these animals and keep them safe. That's all we're interested in.
Katie, anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
Register for Grand Fondo.
That's it. Can we do that is that the website you can go to, amygillett.org.au?
Yeah, just jump onto the normal website, the Amy Gillett Foundation website, and you can get directed there. Otherwise, go on and Google Grand Fondo, Amy Gillett, Amy's Great Ocean Road I can't even speak tonight. Amy's Great Ocean Road Grand Fondo, and jump on there. There's heaps of prizes to win. You guys are giving away tickets, which is going to be amazing. And then there's all sort of the village will be there on the day too. So if you just want to come and have a look at Lorne, check it out.
Yep.
Amy, you really must take a leaf out of John Toborrow's book, Never Drink in the Evenings.
Well, never drink in the mornings. Her name's Katie, not Amy. Hey, Scotty, anything you want to add before we go, mate?
Yeah, two things. Everyone that registers for the Fondo is designated an essential rider and can go out of lockdown to go and do the Grand Fondo. So that's a great initiative from Daniel Andrews, Premier of Victoria. Just a joke. It's not a true story. But, hey, I'm talking about raising funds and everything. I'm raising funds for a new gravel bike. So if anyone wants to send some money in, yeah, happy to take it. Thank you.
But you never pay retail,
You
mate.
never pay for retail. That's right.
No.
No, that's right. Yeah, they don't have to send me in about the wholesale amount because I should be able to swindle a deal. But send me some money so I don't have to pay anything. It'd be great. Thanks.
Oh, dear me. Poor old Scotty. It's true what Channel 7 doesn't pay well then.
Well, thanks for a great show. And John, I gave you an opportunity. And Scotty, I'm very disappointed with you as well. Today is my birthday. It's my 40th. I'm going to put these candles out with my tears because I gave you an opportunity to say happy birthday. You let me down. I'm finishing on a sad note, John.
Happy birthday, Dan. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dan.
People won't believe this, but he's only 40.
Well, if the lockdown wasn't bad enough, I gave you an opportunity to say thanks and happy birthday and thanks for all the support.
Earlier today.
And happy birthday to Stuart O'Grady as well.
That's right. And Daryl Summers. Daryl Summers is 6th of August.
Phil Liggett as well. Well,
yeah. When's your birthday?
I'm
10th?
on the 11th. But
11th.
The thing is, we're Leo star signs, Dan.
That's right. We're leaders.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday for next week.
Born haters of John Toborrow, and yet we've never succeeded. Yeah.
It's always very sad when you have to wish happy birthday to yourself, though, Phil. I'll never forget this episode, mate. I'll never forget.
So worried. We are joking. We do like John.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again soon for the detour. Ciao for now. Take it easy.
See ya.
Bye.